Good evening. A man is dead and a gunman is on the run after a shooting outside a Halloween party in North Melbourne. In the wake of the killing, wild brawls erupted as partygoers spilled onto the street. More from Mark Santomartino.
In full view of police, young men square up and attack each other, trading kicks and punches, pinning then kneeing others on the footpath of Macaulay Road, as outnumbered officers barricade the crime scene on nearby Langford Street, where a young man was shot and killed. Relatives sprinted past police tape as emotions spilled over, and officers were forced to put a 17-year-old in handcuffs. The girl will be charged on summons with assaulting an officer. Another person attacked our cameraman, who was filming as witnesses poured out of a nearby Halloween-themed party. Police were unable to say whether the gunman or the victim attended the third-day venue before the shooting at 3:15 this morning.
It's a horrific incident.
Detective Acting Inspector Alan Rumble was also unable to say how many times the victim was shot or why. Police have not yet confirmed any detail of his identity.
Our real goal here today is to identify all avenues of inquiry, investigate those and ensure that the victims, the family of the victim are supported at this horrible time.
The largely industrial area of North Melbourne is swarming with CCTV. Forensics spent hours with the man's body before it was collected for the coroner this afternoon. No one has been arrested or charged over the incident. Police do not believe there is an imminent threat to anyone else.
We've got a lot of resources allocated. A lot of specialist resources allocated, including local police. There is nothing to suggest there is an ongoing immediate risk to the community or to others involved.
And Mark Santomartino is live now from North Melbourne. Mark, are police any closer to knowing why the victim was targeted?
Well, Pete, there's still an active crime scene behind me here in North Melbourne, and forensics are still wrapping up their work tonight. So no, we don't have any definitive answers just yet. Police are playing their cards pretty close to their chest on this one. We still don't know an age of the victim involved in this incident or where he lived in the city of Melbourne. We've repeatedly tried to call the venue that hosted this Halloween party. Those calls have gone unanswered. We believe that people appearing to be relatives of the deceased appeared at the scene early this morning, but they too were unwilling to talk. Macaulay Road has reopened to traffic, but part of Langford Road behind me is expected to stay closed for some hours as police continue to call for witnesses to come forward. Pete?
Mark Santomartino.
Australia is running out of cemeteries. Sydney hasn't built a new cemetery in half a century, even though the population has doubled since then. A report found Sydney is at risk of running out of burial plots if the management of its public cemeteries aren't sorted out by the new state government. A 2021 review found Sydney's cemetery capacity would be exhausted by 2051, while some religious and cultural groups could run out of burial spaces in as little as 3 years. As major cities continue to grow, there's fierce debate about how to deal with a looming shortage of burial space. Architects have come up with an out-of-the-box solution to the looming crisis, like underwater burials and upright burials, which has seen the rise of high-rise cemeteries. The new New South Wales government said in a statement that 2 years of indecision and infighting by the previous government was to blame for the risk Sydney would run out of cemetery space. The government is recruiting for the role of administrator and will move towards a 2 public operator model for Sydney Crown cemeteries.
A Townsville mother whose arm was bitten off by her pet dog 2 weeks ago has spoken for the first time since the traumatising attack. Anne-Marie Walters came close to death, but in a stunning admission, she says she doesn't blame the animal for what happened.
For 7 years, Buddy was his owner's faithful friend until the day he snapped and almost killed her.
It's traumatic, obviously, in the fact that I've lost my dog, lost my arm.
Anne-Marie claims it was the sound of someone bashing on her front door that set off the mixed-breed Ridgeback.
He lunged through the air and I had enough time to spin around and grab him when he caught my left arm. I kept calm, I didn't yell, I didn't scream.
A neighbour tried to throw her a weapon to protect herself, but the dog spooked and latched on to her other arm.
Suddenly he saw that knife and he just went into a frenzy and he pulled back 3 times and off goes the arm. I was a little bit relieved once that come off because it was, you know, Less pain, obviously.
Losing litres of blood by the second.
I was like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to die alone.
Somehow, Anne-Marie managed to call 000, rushed to Townsville University Hospital for emergency surgery.
My dad told me that I'd actually died twice during the operation.
Back at her home, the dog was shot dead by police. Bullet holes, a grisly reminder of the bloodshed.
Do you blame Buddy?
No, I don't. Not one bit. He's an animal.
An animal who had mauled another neighbour just weeks earlier.
Oh, I knew he was capable. I didn't know he was going to do that, obviously. I didn't think he'd do such damage.
The 34-year-old now left with a permanent disability, still maintaining it wasn't the dog's fault.
All dogs are capable of causing severe injury to humans.
Emily Prane, 9 News.
Some heartbreaking scenes out of Spain after historic and increasingly deadly flooding this week. Look at this. People there are still desperate for aid days later as they dig their city out of an unbelievable amount of mud. Flooding began after unprecedented rainfall in southern parts of Valencia, and it's so far killed more than 150 people. BBC News correspondent Nikki Schiller says residents there are banding together to help each other get through the tragedy.
I'm in one of the worst hit areas in the city of Valencia, and you can see behind me hundreds and hundreds of volunteers carrying brooms and buckets and spades. And they are coming out to help the people here in the city because 5 kilometres away in the city centre, there is no flooding. And it is a bank holiday here, so people have gone to shops to buy brooms. I spoke to one lady who said that they had sold out, so they made her one from a piece of pipe and some foam, and they are coming to help the residents that live in streets like this. And you can see that the clean-up operation is continuing here. There is debris on the side of the roads. We've seen a number of JCBs who have been removing cars that have been here along the road. To give you an idea of the level of the flooding that hit, here on the wall you can see a metre and a half, but people are having to clear out their homes. Here you can see a teddy bear that obviously was inside and has been covered in mud. And this is what is going on in streets across this area of the city. And there are concerns that there could be more rain in parts of the country and more flooding. And in those areas that have been cut off, the emergency services are still struggling to get in there. And they do feel that once they get in there, the death toll may rise. Nikki Schiller, BBC News for CBS in Valencia. Back to you.
2 twisters in 2 days. Wild weather whipping up a waterspout in Hervey Bay, not even 24 hours after this at Kangaroo Point.
Gus Nader is a much weaker version. These systems are driven by the interaction of different wind flows.
Tearing across the Brisbane River. This was the view from Joey's restaurant as diners' late lunches were interrupted.
It just came over there and it blew away everything. Our whole napkins, our cutlery. It was really scary.
The popular Saturday morning walking trail blocked by debris.
Pretty ferocious.
And you guys live locally. Would you ever have thought it would uproot a tree this big?
Never, never, never.
Scariest thing I've ever seen. It was like hitting our glass windows and I thought things were going to smash.
Experts say it's incredibly rare to see a gustnado in the flesh.
They're probably more common than people think, but a lot of times they're very short-lived and very hard to notice as well. But in this case, the fact that it occurred over a body of water and also a populated metropolitan area certainly was unusual.
Brisbane City Council crews have been called in this morning with machinery to clean up the mess that this storm left behind yesterday afternoon.
The SES received more than 50 calls for help in a few hours, with the worst affected areas south of Brisbane and the Sunshine Coast.
The biggest hail we saw was around Boonambo Desert, up to 7 centimetres.
And we're being warned it's an early taste of what's to come this summer. Anna McGraw, 7 News.
يلا نشتد دكوت لديونين أنا بمكرايتي بصدق شمعتي تزاكوت شمعت في رأيتي بتليفون شيء تمرة كابول متفق أبيب أنا لو هي اللي أنا بروح بتقوم أنا رأيت شيء عشان وليه متمرة كان بان الله بايد زي رأينا كان هيرس راب.
The FBI and the U.S. intelligence officials now saying Russia is behind a fake video now circulating online showing a man who claims to be a Haitian immigrant who says he voted multiple times in Georgia. Again, the video is completely fake. Tonight, authorities say Russia, China, and Iran are all looking to pit Americans against each other. Here's Pierre Thomas with the fake Russian video and the warnings now from authorities tonight.
You're looking at an image from what the FBI says is a fake video that was cleverly designed by the Kremlin, where a man who says he's a Haitian immigrant claims to have voted multiple times in Georgia using multiple IDs. Georgia's top election official talking exclusively to ABC's Atlanta affiliate WSB.
This is not true. This is a bot. This is not what the facts are.
And tonight, U.S. intelligence and homeland security officials are warning Russia, China, and Iran are engaged in a broad covert campaign to divide and confuse Americans.
They want to undermine American confidence in our elections and trust in democracy, and they want to sow and stoke partisan discord. They want to pit Americans against each other.
The Georgia video came just a week after another bogus video appeared to show a man destroying Trump ballots in battleground Pennsylvania. It, too, a Russian fake.
It's everywhere. It's almost like Americans are getting blasted with this disinformation.
But the nation's top Homeland Security election official says, despite those efforts, America's voting system is completely secure and will be accurate.
For the people that would say, prove it, give me some specifics of why you're so confident.
The voting machines that Americans use to cast their ballot are not connected to the internet. So great source of protection there, very hard to hack something that is completely offline.
David, roughly 97% of Americans will have their vote recorded on paper ballot, meaning they can be counted and recounted if necessary. The only exceptions are a few counties in Louisiana and Texas. David?
That's a stunning number. 97% of Americans have backup paper ballots with their votes. That's good to hear, Pierre. Thank you.